Hi everyone, lovely to see you. We're going to start in a couple of minutes. I'm just going to give people enough time to come into the room, which is great. Feel free to write in the chat where you're from, what languages you teach, if you're secondary or primary. It'd be lovely to know if you're from overseas, if you're from the UK. I'm on the Isle of Wight as per normal here, and it's a very grey day today, which is a bit disappointing. But we've got the language show to keep our spirits up and to keep us motivated. So feel free to put in the chat where you're from. So we've got Andrea from Leicestershire, we've got Fiona from London, primary Spanish teacher. That's fantastic. So this presentation is going to be applicable for any stages, any language, and as I tweeted about earlier on today, this is the first time I presented this information for a UK audience. I've done 2 sessions in the States on this topic, but this is the first time I've shared these different ideas with the UK audience. So I'm really, really excited to present with you all. Wow, Singapore, that's amazing. What time is it there in Singapore at the moment? Hi, Barbara, nice to see you here. 7 p.m. Okay, so not too bad. Not too bad. Fantastic. So we've got a whole range of different people. We've got Kent, we've got Hungary, we've got Singapore, Hertfordshire, Cambridgeshire. Amazing. Moscow. Wow. Wow, Susan. Hi, lovely to see you. Brilliant to see you here. Do send me an email afterwards. I'd love to know what you're doing. Obviously, you're in Moscow. That's amazing. Hong Kong. Slovakia. Wow, this is a truly an international audience. This is lovely. Okay, we're going to start in about 1 minute, so I'm just going to let a few more people come in. We've had about 200 and something registrations, so I'm expecting a few more, but I think some people have registered to then watch on demand. So for those people watching the recording, welcome, and thank you so much for finding the time to come along. Hi Denise, lovely to see you here as well. That's great. New Delhi, wow, I'm blown away. This is fantastic. Okay, so about another 30 seconds or so. Saudi Arabia, lovely. That's amazing. I'm speaking at the TESOL Saudi in a couple of weeks. Well, it's not that long. It's the 22nd, I think, if I remember correctly. But anyway, have a look at that if you didn't know that already. That's good, lovely. So I think it's 11:03 now. Thailand, brilliant. It's 11:03 now, so let's make a start because I've got lots and lots of things to show to you. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and there we are. I'll just move the chat to one side, so I'll have the chat running the whole time. Feel free to ask me anything in the chat. That's absolutely fine. So officially, I'm going to start the presentation. Wow, Peru, Lebanon, I can't believe it. Okay, so my name is Joe Dale. I'm an independent languages consultant. I'm a former languages teacher. I taught French for 13 years, teaching secondary school level for 3 years, and then 10 years at middle school level. I've spoken at the language show every year since 2005, and obviously the last 2 years it's been done virtually. My Twitter account is @JoeDale, which is on the screen there. I've got over 32,000 followers now on Twitter. If you're not following me and you'd like to, feel free to do so. And I'll be more than happy to retweet any questions that you might have or any tweets that you have that you want to share today. I've got my Twitter open as well, so we're all ready to go. My email address is there as well, joedale@talk21.com. So if you want to email me after today as well around anything to do with technology and languages or technology and education in general, then do let me know. I'm going to share the whole presentation with you as I normally do on the last slide. And away we go. So how can we use animated GIFs to instruct and inspire in the languages classroom? Let's make a start. Okay, so to start off with, I thought I would clarify what it is that I wanted to cover in this session. So as you can see here, it says that Joe Dale will explore many ways in which animated GIFs can be used to bring language learning to life, etc., etc. But I'm sure what you're actually focusing on is the fact that I seem to be a dancing Bitmoji on this screen, so which is really cool. Now, one of the tools I'm going to be talking about a lot in the session is called Gifcap.dev. So that's GIFCAP.dev, Gifcap.dev, and what that allows you to do is it allows you to record your screen, but instead of making a video, you can make an animated GIF. So essentially in this example, what I've done is I have used the Bitmoji Chrome extension. To set up the Bitmoji Chrome extension, you need to have the app, first of all, the Bitmoji app, which works on iOS or Android. You can then customize your character. That's supposed to be me, although maybe 20 years younger. You can then dress your character as you wish, and then you can choose lots of different positions to find yourself in using the Bitmoji app, and then you can then log in with the Bitmoji Chrome extension with the same account, and that's how it works. You can't create an account via the Chrome extension. And so in this example, what I did was I put in the word pose, P-O-S-E, into the Chrome extension, which allows you to find lots of Bitmojis without any text. And then I chose all the ones that look as if I'm dancing. I then put them into the Google Slides presentation, and I clicked on each individual image, and I clicked on the rotate option and then flip horizontally. So that means you've got basically the same image but just flipped for each time, and then I ran the presentation, but I recorded it using Gifcap.dev to make it into an animated GIF. And with the animated GIF as well, or with Gifcap.dev, you can turn the cursor into a cross, and you just crop over the bit that you want to keep. And then you can also choose the starting point and the end point of your GIF to make it look nice and smooth. So there we are. I see Barbara's asked the question, can we watch this again afterwards? Yes, you're going to be posted the link via email 24 hours after the session, so you'll get it tomorrow, hopefully, if you don't, get in touch with the organisers. Okay, so what is a GIF? Does anyone know what a GIF stands for, GIF? I'll just give you a second or two to write in the chat. I know the answer, but let's see if anyone else does. You can also tell me whether you say GIF with a hard G or whether you say GIF, because there's a big debate on the internet about which one it should be. Anyone like to say what it is without looking up on Wikipedia first? I can tell you I'm going to give you another 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so GIF, and I'm a hard G person, stands for Graphics Interchange Format. That's it. Graphics Interchange Format. And that's what it is. And so essentially, what is a GIF? Let's go to the next one. What is a GIF? A GIF is an animated image. So in this particular graphic, before I do that, let me go back a second. This particular GIF, you'll see that on every single slide of this presentation, I have a GIF. So fortunately, I'm on my PC with 16 gigs of RAM, so there's no problem with system resources being used up by using lots and lots of GIFs, which can be a case if you say try to watch this on an iPad. But let me know if that's an issue when I share the link. So this particular graphic, I used a website called flamingtext.com, which allows you to find these sorts of fonts, and then I put it into, I think it was Keynote, and I added an animation to make it wobble like that, and then I exported it as an animated GIF. So in tools such as Keynote or PowerPoint, there were now options to export as animated GIFs, and so that's how I made this particular slide. In the next one, I made this in Keynote as well. I used what's called Magic Move, which is really, really nice. Magic Move. I can see that Vanessa wants me to write the website. So it's Gifcap.dev, GIF.dev. And then the other one was flamingtext.com, I think it is. If you look it up, there we are, Flaming Text. Thank you, Andrea. So yeah, I made this graphic using Magic Move, which is a really cool animation option within Keynote. What you do is you make your slide and you add your graphics onto the slide. You then duplicate the slide, and then you then can animate it using what's called Magic Move. So essentially what you do is you just move the items off the screen for the first slide, and then for the second slide you move them onto the screen where you want them to go, and then it creates its effect. The equivalent in PowerPoint is one called Morph, M-O-R-P-H, which you can do something similar. And as you can see, it just loops forever as a result. So a GIF is an animated image. Let's carry on to the next slide. Okay, right. So how can we use GIFs in the languages classroom? While I'm talking about how I put this GIF together, can you put in the chat your suggestions on how you are maybe currently using animated GIFs, maybe for feedback and things like that, maybe using sites like Giphy. Be interesting to know whether you make your own GIFs, because this is all about making your own GIFs. To describe how I made this particular graphic, I used a website called ABCYA space animate, and it's a really simple and easy tool to use. It would be perfect for primary as well. And I literally just drew some question marks. I then duplicated the slide, and I then drew some more question marks, and it then created this type of effect. So there we are. So I can see that we've got people, we've got Carlos saying, can you talk us through the process of creating GIFs on Gifcap? I haven't got time to go through the whole process because I've got so many ideas I want to share with you, but it is really, really straightforward. Keynote, Samantha, is the equivalent of PowerPoint, but in an Apple context. Okay, so we've got different people saying motivating students using GIFs, giving feedback, etc. Okay, so the whole point of this presentation is to show you lots of ways in which you can use animated GIFs, so it should give you lots and lots of ideas. Right, this is flaming text, which I talked about. So with flaming text, you can have static images, but you can also have animations automatically put onto the text options that you choose. So some of them are animated and some of them are still. So in this one, on flaming text, I just chose the animation which creates this sort of activity, and I'm suggesting you could use this as a quick starter activity whereby you could put in different phrases, and then the idea is the students then have to tell you either through speaking or by writing what it is that you've written. So you could have, say, for example, I went to the cinema, and that could be, say, in French, and then it would then appear a little bit. It would appear, reveal it as it swipes from left to right. In this example, what I've done is I've suggested different ways in which you can use flaming text for, as you can see, sentence structure, practicing dialogues, for modeling grammar, and for giving feedback. So those are a few ideas to start us off with. Okay, Gifcap.dev, which is what I mentioned already. This is a really simple idea using Jamboard. You could do the same thing with Google Slides or PowerPoint. So if you haven't seen Jamboard before, it's a Google tool which allows you to create a collaborative whiteboard in which you can have drawings, you can have sticky notes, you can add in different shapes, you can add in images from Google Image Search, and so on and so forth. So in this example, what I've done is I have produced one sticky note per word, but of course I could use chunks instead for those people who are fans of chunks, and then I've simply put them in the wrong order, and then I've manually moved them on the screen into the correct order while recording the screen using Gifcap.dev. Okay, and it's really, really simple and straightforward. If there is time at the end, I'll show you how to do it, but there's so many things I want to show you today, I'm not sure we'll have time. We'll see how we get on. And then once you've made your recording, you then, as I said before, you choose the start point and the end point, and then you can then crop the bit that you want. And as a result of that, you can then download the finished animated GIF really simply and easily. So in Jamboard, you can add the animated GIF straight within Jamboard, or what you can do is you can add it as a background. And the advantage of adding it as a background, it means the students can't then move it around, etc. So that would be, what you could do is you could use this as a model for the students. They could then create their own practicing word order in an individual Jamboard. You could set it as an assignment. They all get their own Jamboard, or they could make a collaborative Jamboard whereby they're all adding their GIFs into the Jamboard, or they could make a GIF using Jamboard and Gifcap.dev and put it into a collaborative PowerPoint or a collaborative Google Slides presentation. So there's lots of different things that you could do, but essentially I'm saying this is a way that you could model it and then get the students to produce their own. Okay, another idea, very similar, is to make a GIF using, in this case I use Google Slides, but you could do the same thing in PowerPoint. So I've just taken one slide, I put one text box in the middle of the slide, I then duplicated it, the number of words that I want to have in the sentence, or it could be chunks, as I've said. And then, so I've for example got the word GIFs, say 7 times, and then I've just edited each text box so that they're all the words that I want in that sentence. The reason of doing it 7 times, it means that the text box will be in the right place at all times. And I chose the longest word, in this case practicing, to make the text box as big as it could be, so that when I then duplicated it, it meant that if I put in a word which was bigger than the text box, it wouldn't then go on to say 2 lines. So that's a little tip as well. So again, you could use this for modeling a sentence with different parts of it, and then get the students to create their own. That's the idea. Feel free to write your comments in the chat as well about how you could see yourself doing this, or how effective you think it might be. This one is, I did make this in Gifcap.dev, but you could do the same thing using Appear in PowerPoint or in Keynote. So essentially I'm suggesting that you could use this as a way of practicing a dialogue. I've used the Bitmoji from Jan Charma, who's a Japanese teacher from Victoria in Australia. She also did a Tilt webinar for us on Class Kick. If you haven't heard of the Tilt webinars, that's a collaboration between myself and Helen Myers for the Association for Language Learning, and the recordings, over 140 recordings, are available on my YouTube channel, and we've got one coming up on Thursday of this week with Dr. Florencia Henshaw, looking at the use of technology in her context. So this would be a way of modelling a dialogue. Again, I've used Gifcap.dev. I've just created the 6 lines and then duplicated them, and then just deleted the ones which I didn't need, so it then runs in the correct order. And again, you could use this as a model and then get the students to create their own. So I can see that Carlos is asking, are these resources web pages free of charge? So everything I'm showing you is free of charge as long as you have the device. So if you have, say, an iPad, you would then get Keynote for free. If you had a laptop, etc., then you could be using Google Slides, or you could be using Gifcap.dev. There's a good point actually. Gifcap.dev doesn't work on iPads. You can't record the screen on an iPad using Gifcap.dev and turning it into a GIF, but you could record the screen using the default screen recorder, and then use an app such as IMGPlay, IMGPlay to convert that video into an animated GIF, and you could crop it as well. So there's various ways of doing this. What I'm trying to focus on is the sort of the pedagogy on doing this, but there are various ways of doing this depending on what devices you have access to. But yes, everything's free of charge as long as you have an iPad or you have a laptop, etc. So this one, again, what I've done is I've used Keynote, although you could do the same thing in Slides or in PowerPoint. And I'm just trying to reinforce the fact that you've got different subject pronouns and different endings when conjugating ER verbs in French. And so again, I've just taken the text box when I put all the answers in. In fact, these are 3 separate text boxes. You've got in 3 different columns. You've got the subject pronouns in one, stem in the other, and then the endings in another. And in fact, no, that's not right. There's 1 text box per subject pronoun, 1 text box per ending, and then I've just duplicated that X number of times, and then just used the option of changing the color of the font in order to create this animation, and then recorded it using Gifcap.dev. But you could export it as an animated GIF as well. So there's different ways of doing it. I've just tried to explain the way I created these individual ones, but there are different ways of creating these types of GIFs. The next one I used Magic Move again, and you'll see how it works. So again, similar idea, reinforcing how to use the different subject pronouns with the correct endings based on the stem for conjugating ER verbs. So you can see again what I've done is I've taken the one slide with all the information on it. I've then duplicated the slide, added the animation as a transition, and then I've moved all the text boxes off the slide so that they then will come back in the order that I want. So you want to have all for the second slide, it needs to be where all the text boxes are in place, and for the first slide, all the text boxes are off the slide. And if you then use Magic Move, they'll all then come back on into the slide and create this effect. And then you can, as I said, export as an animated GIF. Right, the next one is an idea around using, in this case, Keynote to create some sort of prompt for speaking or writing. So this one I thought might be good for encouraging the students to talk about pastimes and activities they do at home. So you've got the silhouette that comes with Keynote. So in Keynote you get access to lots of different shapes. So you could just add the shape in it. You can then, as I said, duplicate the slide. You can add the different items. I've just chosen 4 different things. That could be that I'm into playing football, traveling, singing or recording, and playing guitar. And then you just create this nice little GIF, so you could use that as a prompt. The students could then write on it either collaboratively. You could make multiple copies of different slides, and they could all then write on it, or you could, having modeled it, you could then get them to create their own. That's the suggestion. So this again is Magic Move, but you could do the same thing using Morph or motion paths in PowerPoint. Okay, the next one is using a website called remove.bg, which again is completely free to use. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to take a picture, including a human being, or that will work with pets as well, and what have you, as long as the background is a consistent color. So I sometimes will take these pictures when I'm next to a wall which is all the same color. You can remove the background as if by magic. There are other ways of doing that within Keynote itself. There's a tool called Instant Alpha which lets you do that. You can remove the background in PowerPoint as well, but what I like about remove.bg is it works on all devices. So in this case, what I've done, as you can see, is I've removed the background of my picture. I've then added it into Keynote. I've then written a text using the typewriter animation effect, and then I've then exported this as an animated GIF. So the suggestion could be that you could have the students as the models in their own little GIF, writing a phrase which is something that they are personally interested in talking about, like I like to play football or whatever it might be. And obviously you can change the size of the text to make as much of it to fit in as possible. And that's just another little idea on how you can use GIFs in that way. Okay, this one maybe people are not as aware of. It's a website which I heard about a few years ago now, and reminded myself of it when I was putting together this presentation. It's spelled Gzaas, so I presume that's pronounced Gazaz. And essentially what you can do is you have a range of different fonts that you can choose. I went for this one, as you can see, and then you can write your text in, and it will then create this animation sort of zoom effect. So again, what I did was I created that on the website. I then used Gifcap.dev to record the screen, turn it into a GIF, and then add it into my presentation. So what I'm trying to do in lots of these examples is show you quick and easy ways of making GIFs, because if it's going to take the students far too long to make the GIFs, then you're going to be focusing too much on the technology and not on the language. But in these examples, I'm sure you'll agree that they are actually very simple and straightforward to put together. Some might take a little bit more time, but I'm sure it's the sort of thing that the students would like to do. Okay, next one is using the animation called line drawing in Keynote. So what I've done here is I have taken a picture, I put it into Keynote, so I've taken a photo, put it into Keynote, and then I've then clicked on the plus icon, top right. I've chosen the drawing option, and I've then done an outline of the picture of my face. I know it looks like I've been in a boxing fight with Muhammad Ali for 10 rounds or something, but never mind, it is what it is. And you can, if you wanted to, you can also use the fill tool when drawing to then color it in as well. But once I've done that, I then delete the photo. So I've just got the drawing. I then tap on the image, which is an object, and I animate it using the line drawing option, and I can choose how long it plays for. I've also used the text option. I've applied the typewriter effect to it, and then I can then run both the animations, which are called builds in this context, both the builds together simultaneously. And I could even record my voice as well if I wanted to do in Keynote, but then of course if I do that I can't turn it into an animated GIF because GIFs don't have audio as well. And you could do something similar in PowerPoint or any sort of tool that allows you to draw, like Jamboard, and then turn it into a GIF as well. So it's another little technique. I know that Rachel Smith, Rach, on Twitter, is a big fan of using these types of line drawing effects in her lessons, particularly as videos with the audio as well. But here I'm suggesting how it can be done as a GIF. Right, the next one, this is the app which I mentioned a moment ago, IMGPlay. Well, I think it should be pronounced IMGPlay. It's IMGPlay. This particular one on the left-hand side there, this was created in Poland a few years ago when I was on an Erasmus Plus project. And I'm suggesting that you could use this when talking about sort of action verbs. So if you're doing, let's say, something which lends itself really nicely to actions such as sports or daily routine or so on and so forth, then why not get the students to create animated GIFs as if they are the actors within their own little demonstration of some vocabulary. So that's the suggestion on the left hand side. So I made this little animated GIF, added some text as well, and IMGPlay works on iOS and on Android. So you can make the GIFs and then import them into Google Slides on, say, a tablet or a phone, and then access the same presentation on a computer to have access to what the presentation there looks like. So it's really, really simple and easy to do. And then likewise on the right hand side is an app called PicsArt Animator, which also works on iOS and on Android. And here what I've done is I've drawn a picture whereby I'm drawing a new stroke every single slide. So as in the other examples, I've created the head to start off with. I've then duplicated the slide, I've added one eye, I've duplicated the slide, added another eye, duplicated the slide, added different elements. So each new slide has a new addition to it, a new stroke. And as a result of that, you then run all the pictures together and they give the illusion of an animation. And then again, I've added some text. As you can see, I have yellow and green eyes and pink and green hair. So again, if you're doing, say, personal description and the students like to draw, this could be a nice way of doing that. There's lots of other ways in which you could draw as well, as I've talked about already, line drawing, etc. But this would work in an Android or an iOS context. Okay, this next one is, in fact, before I do that, I see I've got a question from Barbara. I understand the face one, but how did you do the playing tennis one? So the playing tennis one, Barbara, let's just go back to the previous slide. All I did was I asked someone to launch the app on my iPad, IMGPlay. You tap on the camera option, and then you just hold your finger down on the record button, and it will then turn what you record into a GIF. And then you can choose the start point and the end point. And as a result of that, it then makes your nice little animated GIF. And then you just export it as a GIF, or you can export it as a video as well. But obviously we're talking about GIFs here. Hopefully that's nice and clear. Right, the next tool is called And Then I Was Like, which is a bit of a funny website name, but anyway. And this allows you to make GIFs directly using your webcam. So this would work on Chromebooks, on laptops, etc. So you make your GIF. Once you've made it, you can then right-click the little GIF that it makes and then download it and then insert it into your Google Slides presentation or wherever you want to insert it. So in this example, I've taken... I've used Gifcap.dev in order to make that little GIF above, and then I've downloaded the GIF that I made as a result of using the tool, which doesn't require any login or registration as well, and then put it at the bottom. For this one, I think I'm right in saying you can only record for about 3 seconds, so you can't do anything too elaborate, but if you're just teaching about some vocabulary or what have you, or just want to add a nice little GIF of you waving, then this would be a good website to do that. Right, the next one is called Brush Ninja. Officially, the website is called brush.ninja. And here, I could have had no background, but I thought I'd add a background, which is really simple to do. I used the website called photosforclass.com, which is a royalty-free directory of images. I found that image, I put it into Brush Ninja, and then I wrote the letter J. I then duplicated the slide, put the apostrophe, duplicated the slide, added the A, and so on and so forth. So I built up the expression letter by letter. You could do it chunk by chunk, whatever you wanted to do, and then you're then able to export the whole thing as an animated GIF. And I made this this type of GIF. So again, I was thinking this would be good for personalizing the learning, get the students to create their own. Use an image if you want to. You don't have to use an image. You can just use a solid color if you want, but why not use an image as well to make it more personalized and more cool in that way. This is another similar type of tool called Flip Anim. The thing with Flip Anim is I would just use it as a teacher because of the fact that it's an open website. It doesn't require any registration, but they do annoyingly have a chat feature, and if you go onto the chat feature or comment feature, you can see lots of different people from here, there and everywhere writing comments, and some of which may have inappropriate language in it. And also you can also do an explore option and look at all the GIFs that people have made, and again some of them might have inappropriate content content. But from the point of view of making your own GIF as a model, I think it's fantastic. So this one, I'm suggesting you could use it for describing hair color and eye color. If you go onto YouTube and do a search for Flip Anim, there are lots of tutorials there on how you can use it, and it's really, really nice for drawing. It's just the pain that they haven't got rid of the those different effects. If you look at the ABCYA or ABCYAR animate tool that I talked about earlier, then it's a similar type of tool, but it doesn't have any of those other elements. So that would be the tool you would use with the students. But this is really nice if you're interested in making your own GIFs in that way. Okay, the next one, I would imagine this is probably new to a lot of you. It's a website called generated.photos, and this is quite cool, to say the least. All these people that you're seeing on the screen right now are not real people. Their faces have been created, or say the images have been generated through artificial intelligence or AI. So if you go to generated.photos and you can choose if you want to have a young person or an adult, you can choose what eye color and hair color they have. You can have, choose lots of different options, and you can then export each one as a separate image. And then what I did was I used the website called gifmaker.me in order to put all the images together and turn them into an animated GIF. So again, I was suggesting that you could use this for, say, eye color and hair color. But if you just are interested in finding graphics which are not real people, which legally you're allowed to use, then generated.photos is a really nice way of doing that for, say, I don't know, dialogue work or anything which in your presentation where you want to use images of young people or adults or what have you. So that's completely free to use, and in combination with gifmaker.me, you can make a nice little animated GIF. So again, I could show that on the screen and then ask the students to either create their own or write some sentences next to the animated GIF. Right, the next one is using a technique which is a really simple idea, but I've been using it for years, which is to use the black and white filter in order to show that you're talking about something in the past. So here I've just got the two GIFs using Bitmoji and using Keynote. So I've just taken my Bitmoji, two different Bitmojis around playing football, put them into Keynote, added the text, but I've also before importing the second image, I've used a filter in the Photos app. You could do the same thing online. You could use various websites. There's one called Be Funky, which allows you to change the filter so it's black and white. And yeah, the suggestion is that if it's black and white, it's going to be in the past. So you're just reinforcing the fact that you're talking about I play football and I played football. So I'd love to know what you think about that, if you think that's a good idea using black and white. I think for some visual learners, that might be a nice little hook to practice tenses. Okay, now I noticed, I think it was yesterday, there was a head of department who was sharing about how to use Lego in order to practice sentence structure. Now, this particular animated GIF I created using the iOS and Android app called Stop Motion Studio, and this is my real table at home and 3 letters from my Scrabble board. And all I've done is as you can see, I've moved the tires a little bit, taken a photo, moved them a little bit more, taken a photo, moved them a little bit more, and it's similar to the idea that was shared by Miss Edmondson on Twitter, whereby she had different Lego blocks and she wrote the different forms of the verb in Spanish, and then she moved them around using a video, but she could have made an animated GIF. So I'm suggesting that Stop Motion Studio is a really easy way to make a GIF. You can also record your audio as well. You can record a voiceover, but obviously you can't have the audio with the GIF, and you normally have to have about 10 photos per second. So if this is a very short clip, it's probably about a second and a half. So I've had to take quite a few photos, but it's a lot of fun to do. And will work with any iOS or Android device. So that's Stop Motion Studio, if you haven't heard of that one already. Right, the next one is, again, using Bitmojis, but you wouldn't have to use Bitmojis if you didn't want to. I'm just using stop motion animation. So what I've done here is I've just got a background image of sky. I've then got, as you can see, me flying in a paper aeroplane. So I've just got the slide with me on the right-hand side there. I've then duplicated it. I've moved it a little bit to the left, duplicated it, moved it a little bit to the left, and so on and so forth. It's probably about 6 different slides there. And then I've recorded it using Gifcap.dev to make it into a GIF, and then I've inserted it into the slide. So if you're looking at a way of adding a bit of animation when you're talking about your local area or maybe an ideal holiday, what have you, why not add a bit of animation into it using this sort of technique? Really, really simple to do. You could do the same thing in PowerPoint, etc. But I've just used stop motion animation in slides. Right, this one is another idea which was shared by the polyglot Scott, who is, I don't know who that actually is, but it's presumably a Scottish language teacher. And as you can see, he's using a Japanese advert which has 4 GIFs next to each other. And as you can see, he's saying, this Japanese advert is a great stimulus to encourage pupils to write about a past tense trip. So similar to what I've just been saying. While they watch the GIFs, pupils can order French, Spanish statements into the correct order and then conjugate them into the past tense, which is a lovely idea. But why not get them to create their own equivalent? So you could get them to create 4 different GIFs using, say, IMGPlay, the way I've talked about. And then you could use a website such as Capwing or EasyGIF, which is EZGIF, in order to combine the GIFs together to make one combined GIF. So you could have 4 GIFs together into one GIF as a way of telling a story or using it as a prompt to get the students to write about it, etc. That's the idea. So I'm very grateful to the polyglot Scott who shared this in 2018. Right, the next one, I made this in Keynote as a way of practicing grammar. So as you can see, I'm talking about the negative form in French. So I've just simply made this as a slide. I've used a few different animations and I've exported it as an animated GIF. And then this sort of the binder image on the left hand side there, that's just an image which I found on, I think, Photos of a Class, but a royalty-free website. So a really simple and easy way of being able to reinforce a grammar point but make it into an animated GIF, and then of course you could get the students to make their own, and so on and so forth. So this one would take a little bit more time to create, whereas other ones I've shown you could do really simply and easily, but it's worth taking the time to hopefully help them to remember the grammar by making a GIF, and then of course, as I said, get them to make their own. Right, this one is very cute. I would say that I'm a little bit biased. This is my lovely, lovely son, who is now 7 years old, the Munchkin. And what I did here was I used a website called Unscreen. So I recorded him doing different actions. This is supposed to be daily routine. He did this when he came home from school one day, and he was against the wall, so it was a consistent colour. And I asked him to do the different actions for I wake up, I clean my teeth, I get dressed, I brush my hair. And I reminded him to start off always the animation with his hands by his side, and then to finish with his hands by his side, so it makes a nice smooth animation, which is really important, I think, to make the best GIFs that you can. So Unscreen, what it does, a bit like remove.bg, it's by the same company. It removes the background from a video when you've got a human being in the video. And so you don't need to use a green screen. You could do the same thing with a green screen, but I've not used a green screen here. I've just used unscreen.com. Thank you so much for the comments. That's lovely. Yeah, didn't he do a good job? Great stuff. So again, you could get the students to do the same sort of thing with daily routine or anything that lends itself nicely to an animation like that. So there we are. He'll be chuffed that you like that. Another idea is using Unscreen to create these types of animated stickers. You can see on the left hand side, this is Miss Fedrizi, who is speaking live at the moment at the SALT conference, I think, or certainly later on today. I couldn't see her presentation because I was speaking at the same time. I think it is live right now that she's speaking. So big thank you to Sonia for allowing me to use this animated GIF. So essentially, again, I was really inspired by Esther Park, who is an educator from the States, whose Twitter handle is Mrs. Park Shine. And she came up with this idea of using Unscreen to make these types of animated stickers, and then you could then drag and drop them from, say, Google Keep into Google Slides or Google Keep into Google Docs. So when you launch Google Docs, you'll see on the right-hand side there's 3 icons, one of which is the yellow one, which stands for Google Keep. So you can log into that, bring up your Google Keep, and then drag and drop the Google Keep stickers into your document as a way of giving feedback, and and why not? Again, this will take a few more steps to do, but there are some teachers out there I'm sure that would like to have a go at doing that. Okay, next idea. Again, I use Gifcap.dev for this. This is saying how you could use a GIF in order to explain a process. So here I'm saying how you can change the language of your Bitmoji in Chrome. So if you watch the GIF, you can see what I'm doing. Basically, I'm clicking on the 3 dots top right. I click on settings. I then go to advanced settings. I click on languages. I then click on add language. I choose the language that I want. I then click on the 3 dots to the right of that language and choose move to top. Once you click move to top, when you then launch the Chrome extension for Bitmoji, it will be in that language. In other words, when there's text options, those text options, as you can see on the screen, will be in that language. I see Barbara's asking, can you put them in Facebook? To show GIFs working in Facebook, I think you have to store them somewhere online and then share the link, and then it will then work. You can't just upload them, because I've tried that in the past and they come as static images. So I think I'm right in saying you have to upload them somewhere and then paste in the link, and then they should then work. Right, this one is using autodraw.com, which is a free website which allows you to make little graphics. I then move them a little bit to the left or to the right, use Gifcap.dev, run the presentation, save them as a GIF, crop them, and then put them into the presentation. So again, if you fancy using a few animated graphics, this is the way that you could do that. Nothing to do with pedagogy, but it makes it look good. This is again just a sort of a cool thing to do. So you can take a picture, you can add in some sunglasses which you rotate one way and rotate another way, using a website called Flat Icon, which is free to use, and you can then save that as a GIF, and again you can add a bit of animation. For this one, I've just used some animations in PowerPoint and saved them as a GIF. So that's the sort of, I can't remember the exact term for that animation effect, but you get the idea. For I Love Football, get the students to make their own. This is a graphic, again as a GIF, which shows different tools which allow you to import GIFs, such as Microsoft Whiteboard, Google Slides, PowerPoint, PicCollage, Jamboard, Mentimeter, Padlet, and Classroom Screen. So if you're looking at places where you can import your GIFs, then these are all good options. Okay, and you'll be delighted to know that I've put all my different links and research around using animated GIFs in the classroom into a Wakelet collection. If you haven't seen Wakelet before, it's a free way of collecting lots of links all together. I think there's 60 something links which refer to different animation techniques to do with GIFs, which you can access via the link at the bottom there. Phew. And if you want to have a winking Bitmoji, you just have to have the 2 slides next to each other, use Gifcap.dev to then turn them into a GIF, and away you go. So there we are. So if you've enjoyed this presentation and you'd be interested in getting some more support around the use of technology in languages or across the curriculum, do let me know. Here are 18 example sessions that I can offer. I can design a bespoke session for you, which would work in a remote context, a hybrid context, or a face-to-face context. And yeah, just let me know. And again, thank you to the Language Show. Here's the presentation, which I will share in the chat as well quickly. So it's https://is.gd/language show GIFs. There we are. I think that's right. So if you click on that link, you should get access to that. Feel free to share the presentation. In a couple of minutes, 15 minutes, I'm going to be doing exactly the same presentation for the SALT conference, the Scottish Association of Language Teachers Conference. So that's cool as well. And then I'm on again at 1:15 at the Language Show to do a whole new different presentation all around virtual reality and how you can use that in the languages classroom. So thank you so much everybody for your feedback, and I'd love to know how you get on Twitter afterwards. Do please share your GIFs and you know how easy it is that you find to make them. Get in touch if you get stuck with anything, and we'll go from there. So I've got 1 minute to go, so I will. I've got 3 questions in the Q&A. Let's see if there's anything else. Could you give that reference in the chat, please? I'm not sure what the reference is that you're referring to there, Cass, but you've got the whole presentation again. You can ask me again on Twitter. Is there a course for absolute beginners in this to learn what to do from scratch? Well, you could invite me to your department, and I'd be more than happy to go through a course. But also on the Wait Click collection, you'll find some how-to guides as well. Can we use these resources with smartboards on the platforms? If smartboards allow you to insert GIFs, which I think they do, then it will be fine, and you're good to go. Right, 1:15, bang on time. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I hope you have a lovely end of language, well, not even end, the rest of the language show. And don't forget as well, there's a show and tell session, which myself and Helen Myers are doing at 5 o'clock today. So if you would like to come along and share an idea of, say, 5 minutes, we would love to hear from you. There's a Google form which you can access via my Twitter as well. And thanks ever so much for all your lovely comments. I really appreciate it. And good luck for the rest of the different sessions. Okay, I'm going to click leave now, and bye for now. Thanks so much for your comments. Take care.